Your life will only change the day you decide to stay consistent. That is the truth most people ignore. We often blame our past, our circumstances, or the limits we think we have, but the real problem is simple. We don't stick long enough to see what's possible. Think about it. How many times have you started something, felt excited for a week, then slowly stopped? How many goals have you left unfinished because you only worked on them when you felt motivated? Consistency is the real power. It doesn't matter if you are the smartest, the strongest, or the most talented. If you show up daily, you will beat every excuse, every barrier, and every limit you once believed in. Limits don't disappear by chance. They are broken by the steady effort you give each day. And once you understand that there's nothing in your life you cannot change, stay with me because this could shift everything for you. Chapter 1. Break mental barriers daily and see new possibilities open. Every person carries limits inside their own mind. These limits are not always visible on the surface, but they control what you believe you can do and how far you believe you can go. They live in your thoughts, your beliefs, your daily decision. They're shaped by your past experiences, your failures, the opinions of people around you, and the fears you have carried for years. Those limits become barriers. They whisper to you that you cannot go further, that you are not capable, that you should not even try, and as long as you accept them, they control you. The truth is, those barriers are not permanent. They can be broken. Not in one dramatic act, but daily, step by step through consistent effort. When you break mental barriers each day, you begin to see new possibilities that were invisible before. The first barrier most people face is the belief that change is impossible. This belief convinces you that your situation is fixed. You think, "I've always been this way, so I will always stay this way." That belief locks you inside a small space. But every day you push against that belief, you loosen its hold. You prove to yourself that change is possible. Not with words, but with action. If you learn one new skill, if you show up and work on yourself, even for a short time, you create evidence that change is real. And once your mind sees that evidence, it cannot deny it. That is how new possibilities begin to open. Another barrier is fear of failure. Fear tells you that if you try, you might lose. You might embarrass yourself. You might prove your doubts. Right? So you stay safe, but safety costs you growth every day. You challenge fear by taking small actions. When you do the thing you are afraid of, even on a small scale, the fear shrinks. It no longer has the same power over you. The first time you face fear, it feels overwhelming. The second time it is smaller. The 10th time it has no control. Consistency in facing fear transforms you into someone who sees opportunity instead of threat. That shift opens doors you never thought you could walk through. One of the strongest barriers is negative self-talk. These are the quiet voices that repeat in your head. "I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I'll never succeed." If you repeat those words long enough, you believe them. They shape your reality. To break this barrier, you must replace the voice with a new one. Not once, but every single day. When the voice says, "I can't," you answer, "I will try." When the voice says, "I'm not ready," you answer, "I'm learning." With daily practice, those small corrections change the way you think about yourself. Over time, you stop fighting against yourself and start supporting yourself. That change in inner dialogue gives you strength to see and seize opportunities. Barriers also come from past failures. The memory of what went wrong can sit in your mind like a heavy stone. It convinces you that the future will only repeat the path, but consistency gives you the power to rewrite that story. Each day, you take a step in a new direction. You prove that the past does not control the future. You may have failed before, but today you acted, and tomorrow you will act again. Eventually, the weight of old failures fades, and the evidence of your new actions becomes stronger. This new story gives you the courage to attempt bigger goals and explore new paths. Another barrier is the comfort zone. Comfort feels safe, but it keeps you small. Growth only happens when you push beyond what feels easy. Consistency is the key. If you push your boundaries a little bit every day, what once felt hard becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes manageable. That is how athletes build endurance, how leaders build courage, how creators build innovation. Small daily steps beyond comfort. Break the walls that hold you back, and the moment those walls fall, you see a world that was hidden from you. Breaking barriers requires discipline. The mind naturally resists change. It prefers routine, even if the routine is unhealthy. To overcome this resistance, you must train yourself daily. Discipline means doing the right thing, even when you don't feel like it. It means choosing growth over ease. At first, discipline feels heavy, but as you practice it daily, it becomes lighter. Your mind adjusts. What once took massive effort becomes automatic. That is how you move from struggle to strength. Each time you break a barrier, your self-image changes. You begin to see yourself as capable as someone who can take control of life. That change in self-image is powerful. It affects the choices you make, the risks you take, and the opportunities you pursue. Suddenly, doors that seemed closed now seem open. Challenges that once looked impossible now look like invitations. The more you grow, the more possibilities reveal themselves. Consistency matters because one victory is not enough. Breaking a barrier once will not transform your life. It must be repeated daily. The human mind has a way of slipping back into old patterns if you are not careful. That is why you need daily effort, daily reminders, daily action. Each day you commit to breaking a barrier, you reinforce the new pattern. Over time, the new pattern becomes who you are. Then you no longer have to fight against the old barrier. It has been replaced entirely. Think about the feeling when you finally do something you once thought you could not. Maybe you speak in front of others without fear. Maybe you complete a project you doubted yourself on. Maybe you improve your health after years of neglect. That feeling is powerful. It proves that the limits in your mind are not permanent. It proves that you have more inside you than you thought. That feeling builds belief, and belief is the foundation for bigger goal. Once you know you can break one barrier, you begin to believe you can break many. Life is not about avoiding limits, it is about breaking them. Every time you push through a barrier, you expand your world. You create more choices for yourself. You create more opportunities for growth, for success, for contribution. And it all starts with daily action. One small step taken consistently weakens the wall. Day after day, the wall crumbles until one day you look up and realize the wall is gone and a new horizon is in front of you. The world belongs to those who refuse to accept mental barriers as permanent. It belongs to those who wake up each day and choose to challenge their limits. It belongs to those who understand that consistency is stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, stronger than failure. If you take this path, you will discover abilities you never believed you had. You will open doors you never thought you could walk through. You will see possibilities that once seemed invisible, and that is how consistency breaks every limit you have. Now is the time to stop accepting those limits as real. Now is the time to break them daily. Not in grand gestures, but in steady effort. With each day of practice, your mind grows stronger, your courage grows deeper, and your life grows larger. Keep breaking those barriers, and the life you once dreamed of will become the life you live. Chapter 2. Confront hidden fears daily and take fearless, bold actions. Fear hides in places most people never look. It hides in hesitation, in silence, in the choice to avoid instead of act. It hides in the way someone lowers their goals because they are afraid of failing at something bigger. It hides in how people talk themselves out of opportunities by saying they are not ready, not qualified, not capable. Fear is not always loud. Often it is quiet, disguised as caution, disguised as waiting for the right time, disguised as endless planning. But the truth is, fear steals more dreams than failure ever will. If you want to create a life beyond limits, you must confront those hidden fears daily, not occasionally, and take actions that feel bold to you, even when your mind whispers that you should hold back. The human brain is wired for safety. Long ago, survival meant avoiding danger at all costs. Today, danger is rarely life-threatening, but the brain still reacts to new challenges as if they are risks to survival. Speaking up in a meeting, starting a business, reaching out to someone you admire, trying a new skill, these things are not life or death yet. Fear rises as if they were. That is why waiting for fear to disappear is a mistake. It never goes away by itself. It must be faced, confronted, and reduced through consistent exposure. Every day you take an action that fear tells you not to take. You teach your brain a new lesson, that you are safe, that you are capable, that fear is not the master of your life. The first step in confronting hidden fears is recognizing them. Many people never identify what they are truly afraid of. They only feel resistance, avoidance, procrastination, and excuses. But if you pause and ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of here? The answer begins to appear. Maybe you are afraid of being judged. Maybe you are afraid of being rejected. Maybe you are afraid of wasting time or money. Maybe you are afraid of proving your own doubts. Right? Once you identify the fear, you can work with it. Naming fear takes away some of its control. It becomes something you can see clearly instead of something shaping your behavior in the dark. Once fear is named, the next step is to take direct action against it. If you fear speaking up, make it a rule to share one thought in every group conversation. If you fear failure, deliberately attempt something where mistakes are likely so you learn you can survive them. If you fear rejection, start asking for things you normally would avoid asking. If you fear change, make small adjustments in your daily routine until you build tolerance for uncertainty. By attacking fear through action, you turn it from an obstacle into a training ground. Each bold move you make becomes a signal to your brain that you are stronger than the fear you once obeyed. Consistency is the key here. Facing fear once is not enough. You might prove something to yourself one day, but if you go back to old patterns the next day, fear regains control. It must be daily work. Every day, you stretch yourself. You weaken fear's grip. Fear thrives on avoidance. When you avoid it, it grows. When you face it, it shrinks. If you want to break your limits, you cannot afford to feed fear with avoidance. You must starve it with action. Bold actions do not have to be extreme. They only have to challenge the comfort zone you have built for one person. Boldness may mean starting a conversation with a stranger for another. It may mean applying for a higher role at work for another. It may mean sharing their creative work with others. What matters is that the action feels uncomfortable because discomfort signals that fear is present each time you choose to act. Despite that discomfort, you grow. Growth is not found in the absence of fear, but in the decision to act anyway. The power of confronting fear daily is that it builds a new identity. You stop seeing yourself as a timid person who avoids challenges. You begin to see yourself as someone who faces what scares you. That shift in identity changes everything. Your self-image improves. Your confidence deepens your willingness to pursue bigger opportunity. It spans soon what once terrified you becomes normal, and what once seemed impossible becomes achievable. The consistent breaking of fear is what creates a fearless life, not because fear disappears, but because you no longer allow it to control you. Hidden fears often disguise themselves as logic. You say to yourself, "It's not the right time," or "I'll start when I have more experience," or "I don't want to risk it." Now, on the surface, these sound reasonable, but if you look closer, they are fear in disguise. How many people postpone their goals for years because of this kind of thinking? How many people die with their best ideas still inside them because they waited for the perfect time? The perfect time never comes. You must act now, even if you are not ready, even if the conditions are not perfect. By acting boldly today, you weaken the habit of delay. Another important truth is that fear is personal. What scares one person might not scare another. Some people are terrified of speaking in public. Others are comfortable with that, but fear starting a new project. Others fear emotional vulnerability, being honest about how they feel. Confronting fear daily means finding your specific fears and working on them. Don't compare your fears to others. Focus on your own. Each step you take against your own fear is a step toward personal freedom. Bold action also creates inspiration for others. When people around you see you confront what scares you, they begin to believe they can do the same. Courage is contagious. By living boldly, you not only free yourself, you encourage others to free themselves. Think about the impact that can have on your family, your friends, your community. By breaking your own limits, you show others that their limits can be broken too. Fear will always try to return. It'll appear in new forms as you reach higher levels of growth. When you conquer one fear, another will show up. But this is not something to dread. It is a sign of progress. Each new fear means you are entering new territory, stretching further than before. If you keep confronting fear daily, you will always be expanding. You will always be growing. That is how a life of boldness is built. The price of not confronting fear is regret. Regret is heavier than fear. Fear lasts for a moment. Regret lasts for a lifetime. When you avoid fear, you may feel relief now, but years later you look back and realize you missed chances you cannot get back. You realize you stayed small when you could have been more. This is why you must act boldly now, because one day you will be older and you will ask yourself, did I live fully, or did I let fear decide? For me, bold action daily ensures you can answer with pride. Every person has fear. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is not the absence of fear, but the relationship with it. Some obey fear. Others confront it. Some wait for fear to vanish. Others act while fear is still present. Which path you choose decides the size of your life. If you confront fear daily and take bold action, your life will expand beyond what you ever imagined. Start small if you must, but start today. Choose one fear, face it, and act against it. Tomorrow, choose another. With each day you grow stronger. With each day, fear loses its control. And with each day, new possibilities open. This is how you build a fearless life, not through waiting, not through wishing, but through consistent, bold daily action. Chapter 3. Destroy limiting beliefs daily and rebuild a stronger mindset. Limiting beliefs are the invisible chains that keep people from building the life they deserve. These beliefs form quietly, often in childhood or early experiences, and they sit in the background of your mind, shaping how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you see opportunities. A limiting belief is any thought that convinces you that you are less than you truly are, that your future cannot expand, or that your abilities have fixed boundaries. Beliefs like, "I'm not smart enough," "I don't deserve success," or "I could never be like them," become filters through which you see the world. When those filters remain unchallenged, they become reality for you, even though they are not truth. Destroying these beliefs is not an event, it is a daily process. Rebuilding a stronger mindset requires persistence, consistency, and a commitment to choosing new thoughts and new evidence every single day. The first step in breaking down limiting beliefs is to recognize them. Most people live their whole lives carrying these thoughts without ever realizing they are not facts. They confuse belief with truth. They think this is just the way I am, but the way you are is not fixed. It is shaped by choices, actions, and focus. To see limiting beliefs, you must pay attention to yourself. Notice the statements you repeat to yourself when you face challenges. Notice the excuses you use when you avoid taking action. Hidden in those excuses and doubts are the beliefs that must be destroyed. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. Once you see a limiting belief, the next step is to question it. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Who told me this? Do I have real evidence that this is true? Often you will discover that the belief was planted by someone else. Perhaps a parent who doubted you, a teacher who criticized you, a failure you experienced when you were unprepared. These voices from the past became your inner voice, but just because you accepted them once does not mean you must carry them forever. When you question them, you weaken their power. You begin to separate what is true from what is simply a thought, repeated too many times. After questioning, you must replace the old belief with a new one. The mind does not operate well in a vacuum. If you destroy a belief but do not replace it, the old one will creep back. In rebuilding a stronger mindset means consciously choosing new empowering belief. For example, if your old belief was, "I always fail," you can replace it with, "I am learning and improving daily." If your old belief was, "I don't deserve good things," you can replace it with, "I am worthy of growth, success, and love." These new beliefs are not lies, they are choices. And when you reinforce them with action and evidence, they grow stronger each day, daily. Repetition is critical. A belief is nothing more than a thought repeated over time. Limiting beliefs became strong because they were repeated so often. To replace them, you must be just as consistent every day. Affirm your new beliefs, speak them out loud, write them down, remind yourself of them when old doubts appear. With daily reinforcement, the brain begins to accept them as true. Over time, they shape your identity, and identity drives behavior. Destroying limiting beliefs also requires taking action that contradicts them. If you believe you cannot speak in public, you must take small daily actions to prove otherwise. Start by speaking in front of one person, then a small group, then a larger group. Each action becomes evidence against the old belief. If you believe you are not disciplined, start with one consistent habit, maybe reading 10 minutes daily or exercising each morning. Every time you follow through, you build evidence that your old belief was false. The more evidence you collect, the weaker the old belief becomes, and the stronger the new mindset grows. Surroundings also play a role. If you spend time around people who reinforce your limiting beliefs, it is much harder to break them. If you hear constant negativity, doubt, or criticism, your mind absorbs those messages. But if you surround yourself with people who encourage you, challenge you, and see potential in you, it becomes easier to destroy the old beliefs and build new ones. Choose your environment wisely. Every conversation you hear either reinforces limits or expands them. Every relationship you keep either strengthens your fears or strengthens your courage. Another way to destroy limiting beliefs is to feed your mind with new knowledge and stories. Read about people who started with nothing and built extraordinary life. Study examples of individuals who failed repeatedly but rose stronger. Fill your mind with proof that humans are capable of transformation. When you expose yourself to these stories, your brain receives new possibility. It begins to realize that your situation is not fixed, that your beliefs are not absolute. Inspiration alone will not change you, but combined with daily action, it creates fuel for lasting transformation. Rebuilding a stronger mindset requires patient. Beliefs are deeply ingrained, and they resist change. At first you may feel doubt as you try to replace them. You may hear the old voice in your head telling you nothing is different, but consistency breaks resistance, the same way a stone is worn down by water. Over time, old beliefs are worn down by daily contradiction and replacement. The more persistent you are, the faster they lose power. An important truth is that limiting beliefs never fully disappear. They can return if you neglect the process. That is why you must destroy them daily. Each day, you must choose to reinforce the new beliefs. Each day, you must take action. That proves the old ones wrong. It is not about winning once. It is about winning once. It is about winning repeatedly. That is how you build a mindset that cannot be broken. Imagine the freedom of living without the weight of those old limits. Imagine what happens when you no longer believe you are unworthy or incapable or too late to change. You wake up with energy instead of doubt. You pursue opportunities instead of avoiding. You build relationships with confidence instead of fear. This is the reward of destroying limiting beliefs daily. You create a life that expands instead of contracts, a life directed by choice instead of chain. The strongest people you admire are not free of doubt. They are disciplined in destroying it. They face the same voices that tell them they are not enough, but they refuse to let those voices decide their future. They build habits of thought that empower them. They act boldly in ways that prove their strength. They choose to write new stories about who they are. You can do the same. The mind is the foundation of every result in life. If your mindset is weak, no amount of external success will feel stable. If your mindset is strong, no amount of failure will permanently defeat you. That is why rebuilding your mindset daily is non-negotiable. It is the root from which everything else grows. Every morning, ask yourself, what belief do I need to challenge today? Every night, ask yourself, what action did I take that proves my strength? These questions keep you sharp. They keep you from slipping back into the comfort of old limits. They remind you that growth is a choice, not a gift. If you live by this practice, your life will expand in ways you cannot yet imagine. You will see opportunities you once ignored. You will attempt goals you once feared. You will recover from failures with resilience you never thought you had. You will inspire others, not by what you say, but by the strength you show. Destroying limiting beliefs daily is the path to freedom. Rebuilding a stronger mindset daily is the path to power. The limits in your mind are not walls. They are doors waiting to be open. Every day, you choose to open one, you step into a larger life, and if you keep choosing daily, eventually you will look back and realize there are no doors left closed. Your mind will be stronger, your vision clearer, your confidence unshakable. That is the reward of doing the work. That is the life you can create. Chapter 4. Challenge your excuses daily and choose growth over comfort. Excuses are the soft lies we tell ourselves to stay comfortable. They are the quiet justifications that explain why we didn't start today, why we didn't finish what we promised, why we didn't step up when it was our moment. Excuses feel safe because they let us avoid effort, avoid risk, avoid discomfort, but every excuse has a cost. Every excuse we accept is one more day of delay. one more opportunity missed, one more piece of potential wasted. If you want to grow, you must confront these excuses daily. You must stop letting them guide your choices. You must choose growth even when comfort calls louder. Excuses are powerful because they sound reasonable. I'm too tired today. I'll start when I have more time. This isn't the right moment. I'm not ready yet on the surface. These seem harmless, even logical, but look closely. They are shields you use to avoid responsibility. They are ways to hide from the discipline and effort required to change your life. The truth is, you will always be tired. Some days, you will never feel like you have enough time. The moment will never be perfect, and no one ever feels completely ready. If you keep waiting for conditions to be ideal, you will wait forever. Growth does not wait. It requires action in imperfect conditions. Action even when you don't feel prepared. Action when the easier choice would be to sit back. The danger of excuses is not just the time they waste. The real danger is what they do to your mind. Every time you give in to an excuse, you reinforce weakness. You teach yourself that avoiding effort is acceptable. You lower your standards without realizing it. Soon, making excuses becomes your default. You stop even trying because you have trained yourself to believe that your reasons are valid. That is how dreams die slowly, not from one big failure, but from 1,000 daily excuses. The only way to break free from this cycle is to challenge excuses the moment they appear. When your mind says, "I'll do it tomorrow," answer with action today. When your body says, "I'm too tired," prove to yourself that you can still give effort. When your emotions say, "I don't feel like it," remind yourself that feelings are temporary, but results last. Every time you choose to act instead of excuse, you strengthen discipline. You prove that you are in control, not your laziness, not your comfort, not your doubt. Choosing growth over comfort is not easy, but it is the only way to live fully. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it never changes you. Growth, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It stretches you, it challenges you, it demands sacrifice, but growth is where your best life lives. Growth is what allows you to expand your skills, your character, your opportunity. If you keep choosing comfort, you may avoid short-term discomfort, but you also avoid long-term fulfillment. Comfort gives you relief now, but regret later. Growth gives you struggle now, but strength and achievement later. One of the strongest excuses people use is time. They say, "I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to build a business. I don't have time to learn." But time is not the problem. Everyone has the same hours in a day. The problem is priority. The truth is, you make time for what matters to you. If something is important, you will find a way. If it is not, you will find an excuse. When you challenge this excuse daily, you start reclaiming wasted hours. You cut out distractions. You use small pockets of time for meaningful action. You stop saying, "I don't have time," and start proving, "I make time." Another common excuse is waiting for motivation. People say, "I'll act when I feel inspired," but waiting for motivation is a trap. Motivation is unpredictable. Some days it's there, most days it isn't. If you depend on it, you will never build consistency. Instead, you must act first and let motivation catch up. Action produces momentum, and momentum creates motivation. If you choose to act, even when you don't feel like it, you develop self-respect. That self-respect becomes a powerful force that pushes you further than any fleeting feeling could. Excuses also come from fear. Fear of failing, fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. So you excuse yourself by saying it's not the right time, or "I'll start when I know more." But these are not reasons, but are fears disguised as logic. If you want growth, you must step forward, even while fear is present. Fear does not disappear before you act. It weakens only after you act. Each time you move forward, despite fear, the excuse that fear created loses its power. Excuses can also be shaped by the people around you. If you spend your time with those who always justify inaction, you will do the same. If you surround yourself with those who demand more of themselves, who push through resistance, who hold themselves accountable, you will rise to their level. This is why your environment matters. Excuses grow in weak environments and die in strong ones. Protect your circle. Be around people who call out excuses, not those who comfort you in them. Challenging excuses daily requires self-honesty. You must be willing to look at your behavior without distortion. You must ask yourself tough questions. Did I do my best today, or did I let excuses run me? Did I follow through on my commitments, or did I justify quitting? Did I choose growth, or did I settle for comfort? These questions can be uncomfortable, but they bring clarity, and clarity creates change. When you see the truth, you can no longer hide behind illusions. The reward for choosing growth over comfort is immense. Every time you challenge an excuse, you take back control of your life. Every time you choose growth, you strengthen your discipline, your resilience, and your confidence. Over time, this builds into unstoppable momentum. You start achieving goals that once felt impossible. You create opportunities you once thought were out of reach. You become the kind of person who no longer needs to be pushed because you have trained yourself to push forward naturally. Comfort will always tempt you. It'll always whisper, "Stay where you are. Don't push too hard. You've done enough." But you must recognize that comfort is the enemy of growth. True satisfaction does not come from avoiding effort. It comes from knowing you gave your all, that you refused to settle, that you broke past your excuses. When you live this way, you build not only results, but character, and character is what gives you pride, confidence, and fulfillment. The choice between excuses and growth is a daily one. Every day you will face moments where your mind offers you an excuse. Those moments are critical. They decide whether you grow or stay the same. If you choose growth in those moments, day after day, your life transforms. If you choose excuses, day after day, nothing changes, growth or comfort. This is the battle you must win every single day. When you challenge your excuses daily and choose growth, you begin to trust yourself. You know that you can rely on your own word. You know that you will act even when it is hard. That trust is priceless. It builds self-belief, and self-belief is the foundation of success with it. You stop doubting and start doing with it. You stop wishing and start creating with it. You stop waiting for change and start becoming the change. Excuses may seem small, but they shape the entire direction of your life. One excuse tolerated today becomes 10 excuses tomorrow. One excuse denied today becomes 10 victories tomorrow. The difference between the life you want and the life you have is often nothing more than the excuses you are willing to challenge. So challenge them all. Question them, refuse them, replace them with action. Choose growth, even when it feels uncomfortable. Choose growth, even when it feels exhausting. Choose growth, even when it feels exhausting. Because growth will give you a life that comfort never can. The person who learns to challenge excuses daily and choose growth is unstoppable. They may feel fear, but they move anyway. They may feel tired, but they act anyway. They may face setbacks, but they rise anyway. And in doing so, they build a life of progress, a life of strength, a life of purpose. That is the reward waiting for you if you live by this principle. Now the question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you will. Will you confront your excuses today, or will you let them win? Will you choose growth today, or will you settle for comfort every day? Gives you that choice, And every day, you choose growth. You break another limit. You move closer to your best self, and you create a life worth living. Chapter 5. Push physical limits daily and expand energy for life. Your body is the foundation of your entire life. It is the vehicle through which you think, work, create, and experience every single moment. If the body is weak, tired, or neglected, it limits your energy, your focus, and your drive. But when the body is challenged daily, when you deliberately push its limits, it expands its capacity. You gain more energy, more resilience, and more strength to meet the demands of life. This is why treating your body with consistency is not just about health, it is about life itself. Energy is freedom. Energy is possibility. Energy is the power to live fully. The way you expand it is by pushing your physical limits every day. Most people stop short of their true capacity. They settle for average energy, average stamina, and average strength. They think fatigue is normal, that aches are just part of life, that slowing down is inevitable, but this is only because they have not trained their body to adapt. The body is remarkable at responding to demand. If you give it nothing, it gives you nothing. If you demand a little, it gives you a little. But if you demand more, if you push it consistently, it adapts. Muscles grow stronger. Endurance stretches further. Energy becomes abundant. This is not a miracle. It is the natural response of the human body when it is challenged. Daily pushing physical limits does not mean exhausting yourself recklessly. It means finding the edge of your current capacity and stepping beyond it in small, consistent ways. If you can walk 1 mile, walk 2. If you can do 10 push-ups, do 12. If you can run for 10 minutes, run for 12 each day. Add something that stretches you. The stretch does not have to be dramatic. It just has to be consistent over time. The small stretches add up to massive growth. This principle works the same in the gym, in sports, and in everyday activities. The key is to avoid settling for what is comfortable and demand more of yourself each day. The reward for pushing your physical limits is not just strength in the body, but strength in the mind. When you train your body, you also train your discipline. Every time you push through physical discomfort, you build mental toughness. You prove to yourself that you can handle struggle, that you can endure, that you can persist when it is easier to stop. That mental toughness carries over into every other area of your life. If you can push through another set when your muscles burn, you can push through a difficult project at work. If you can finish a long run when your legs feel heavy, you can finish a hard conversation with courage. Physical training builds the inner strength that powers all growth. Energy is not something you wait for. It is something you generate. Too many people complain about fatigue while doing nothing to condition their body. They rely on stimulants, sugar, or rest, but never demand more from themselves physically, and so their energy stays low. But the paradox of energy is that the more you use it, the more you create movement, creates circulation. Circulation creates vitality. Vitality creates focus. When you push your body daily, you generate energy instead of losing it. That energy becomes fuel not only for exercise, but for your work, your relationships, your creativity, and your purpose. Pushing physical limits also builds confidence. There is a special pride that comes from knowing your body can do more than you once thought. The first time you lift a heavier weight than before, you feel it. The first time you run longer than ever, you feel it. The first time you see your endurance stretch beyond your old limit, you realize you are not as fragile as you once believed. That confidence bleeds into everything else. You stand taller, you speak stronger, you face challenges with greater belief. Confidence is not given to you. It is earned by proving to yourself that you can do what once seemed impossible. Another benefit of pushing your physical limits is resilience against stress. Stress is not just mental, it is physical. The body reacts to stress with tension, fatigue, and weakness. But when you train your body consistently, it becomes better at handling stress. Your heart becomes stronger, your lungs more efficient, your muscles more prepared to handle strain. You recover faster. You resist illness better. You handle pressure with more stability. Life will always bring stress, but if your body is trained, stress does not break you. It sharpens you. This is not about comparing yourself to others. It is not about chasing unrealistic standards or punishing your body. It is about competing with yourself. The measure is not whether you are stronger than someone else, but whether you are stronger than you were yesterday. Did you go further than last week? Did you last longer than last time? Did you resist the urge to quit sooner? These are the measures that matter. Growth is personal, and pushing physical limits daily is the most honest form of self-competition, because the only person you face is the one you were before. One of the greatest obstacles people face is the excuse of time. They say they cannot train because life is too busy. But the truth is, training your body does not require hours every day. Even 15 or 20 minutes of intense effort can transform your energy and strength. The key is not the length of time, but the consistency and intensity of effort. If you make it a daily habit, no matter how small, you create change. It is better to do something every day than to do nothing most days and hope for occasional bursts of motivation. Food and rest also matter. Pushing your body without fueling it properly is self-defeating. The body responds best when you treat it with respect. Nutritious food provides the fuel your body needs to recover and grow. Quality sleep allows your body to repair and build strength. These are not luxuries. They require training hard, while eating poorly and sleeping little leads to burnout, not growth. If you want to expand your energy for life, you must take care of the inputs as much as the outputs. What you feed your body and how you rest. It will determine how well it performs when you push it. The process of pushing physical limits is humbling. There will be days when you feel weak, when progress seems slow, when your body resists, but those are the days that matter most. Showing up when it is hard builds character. Showing up when it is uncomfortable proves that you are serious. Progress is not always visible daily, but it is happening beneath the surface. Muscles repair, endurance builds habits, form, and eventually the results show. Over time, the effort compounds. A person who challenges their body daily over a year is not just stronger physically, they are transformed mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Their posture changes, their energy changes, their presence changes. They carry themselves differently. They are more alive, more engaged, more capable, and others notice. This is why pushing physical limits is not just about fitness. It is about the quality of your entire life. Think about the alternative. If you neglect your body, if you never push it, if you settle for comfort, life becomes smaller, energy declines, health declines, confidence declines. Opportunities slip away because you do not have the strength or vitality to seize them. Neglecting the body is neglecting your future, but strengthening the body is building your future. It is an investment that pays you back every single day. The human body is resilient, adaptable, and capable of more than you think it is, waiting for you to demand more of. Every day you push its limits. You unlock new levels of energy and power. Every day you choose to expand your physical capacity. You also expand your life capacity. That is why this principle is so powerful. You are not just training muscles. You are training your life, for you are proving to yourself that you are built for strength, built for endurance, built for greatness. The decision is simple. Each day you either settle for what your body already gives, or you demand more. Settling keeps you tired, weak, and limited. Demanding more keeps you energized, strong, and growing. That is the choice. And when you choose daily to push, to stretch, to expand, you build a body and a spirit that will carry you through every challenge and every opportunity life offers. Chapter 6. Strengthen emotional control daily and rise above. In a chaos, life will always bring challenges that test your emotions. There will be days when anger rises without warning, when disappointment feels heavy, when stress clouds your mind, when fear takes over your decisions. These feelings are part of being human, but when they control you, they shape your life in destructive ways. Emotional chaos makes people quit too early, say things they regret, hurt the ones they care about, or sabotage their own goals. The key to a stronger life is not removing emotions, but learning to master them. Strengthening emotional control daily allows you to rise above chaos inside yourself and respond to life with clarity, calm, and strength. Most people believe emotions are automatic and uncontrollable. They think they are victims of whatever mood comes to them. If they feel angry, they lash out. If they feel afraid, they run. If they feel sad, they shut down. But emotions are not dictators. They are signals. They tell you what you are experiencing, but they do not have to dictate what you do. You may not control the first wave of feeling, but you can control what follows. That is where emotional control begins. It starts with awareness. Notice what you feel without judgment. Acknowledge it instead of being swept away by it. When you pause to recognize an emotion, you create space between feeling and reaction. That space is where choice lives. Daily strengthening of emotional control comes from practicing that pause. Each time you notice yourself getting pulled into chaos, stop and breathe. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? What is causing this reaction? That question interrupts the automatic response and brings your mind back into control. Maybe your anger is really frustration about not being understood. Maybe your sadness is disappointment about unmet expectations. Maybe your stress is fear of losing control. When you identify the root, the emotion becomes less overwhelming. You move from being inside the storm to observing the storm. Once you have awareness, the next step is regulation. Regulation does not mean suppressing feelings or pretending they don't exist. Suppression only makes emotions stronger. Regulation means channeling them in a healthy direction. If you feel anger, instead of exploding, you can express it calmly. Write it down or release it through physical activity. If you feel fear, instead of avoiding action, you can use it as a signal to prepare more carefully. If you feel sadness, instead of isolating, you can share it with someone you trust. Regulation requires daily practice, but over time, it becomes your natural response. Building emotional control also means strengthening resilience. Life will bring setbacks. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will not always go your way. Without resilience, emotions will break you every time something goes wrong. But with resilience, you bend without breaking. You feel the pain, but you do not stay down. You learn to recover faster. This resilience is built daily by facing challenges instead of avoiding them, by remembering past struggles you overcame, and by focusing on what you can control instead of what you cannot. Each time you recover from difficulty, you strengthen your emotional foundation. Another way to strengthen control is through self-talk. The words you repeat in your head shape how you feel. If you tell yourself, "This is impossible, I can't handle this," your emotions grow heavier. If you tell yourself, "I can figure this out, I have handled worse," your emotions become lighter. Self-talk is a tool for directing your emotions instead of letting them direct you. Pay attention to the language you use. Replace words that weaken you with words that strengthen you. Make this a daily practice until empowering self-talk becomes automatic. Emotional chaos often comes from dwelling on the past or fearing the future. Regret, guilt, and shame pull you backward. Worry and anxiety pull you forward. Control comes from grounding yourself in the present. Focus on the task at hand, the conversation you are in, the step you can take. Now, this is not about ignoring the past or future, but about refusing to live trapped in them. By training your attention daily to return to the present, you calm the mind and control the emotions that come with time-based fears. Another practice for emotional control is gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. It replaces frustration with appreciation, anxiety with peace. Each day, take a moment to notice what is good in your life. The people, the progress, the opportunities, even the struggles that shaped you. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it balances it. It reminds you that life is not only chaos, it is also filled with blessings. This daily shift in perspective strengthens your ability to stay calm in the face of challenges. Emotional control also grows when you align your actions with your value. Much chaos inside comes from living in ways that conflict with what you believe. If you value honesty but lie, you feel guilt. If you value growth but stay stagnant, you feel restless. If you value family but neglect them, you feel torn. By choosing daily actions that reflect your core values, you create inner harmony. That harmony reduces chaos and strengthens control. You feel steadier, more at peace, more in charge of yourself. Relationships test emotional control more than anything else. People will say and do things that trigger you without control. You react impulsively, damaging trust and connection. With control, you respond with clarity and respect. This does not mean tolerating abuse or ignoring problem. It means choosing the response that aligns with your highest self, not your lowest impulse. Each day, practice listening before speaking, pausing before reacting, seeking to understand before judging. Over time, these practices strengthen your ability to rise above emotional triggers and maintain healthy connections. One of the most effective ways to strengthen emotional control is through physical practices that calm the nervous system. Deep breathing, meditation, stretching, or even walking in nature regulate your body's stress response. These practices train your body to remain calm under pressure. When your body is calm, your mind finds it easier to stay in control. By making these practices daily habits, you build resilience against emotional chaos before it even starts. Another principle is acceptance. Many people suffer because they fight against emotions instead of accepting. They tell themselves they should not feel angry, should not feel sad, should not feel afraid. But resisting emotions makes them stronger. Even walking in nature regulates your body's stress response. These practices train your body to remain calm under pressure. When your body is calm, your mind finds it easier to stay in control. By making these practices daily habits, you build resilience against emotional chaos before it even starts. Then choosing how to respond. It means saying, "I feel angry, and that is okay. Now what will I do with it?" Acceptance creates peace. It reduces inner chaos by removing the second layer of struggle, the struggle against your own feelings. Daily strengthening of emotional control also requires honesty about your trigger. Another principle is acceptance. Many people suffer because they fight against emotions instead of accepting. They tell themselves they should not feel angry, should not feel sad, should not feel afraid. But resisting emotions makes them stronger. Acceptance means allowing yourself to feel without judgment. Everyone has specific situations that spark intense reactions. Maybe it's criticism, rejection, unfairness, or lack of control. By identifying your triggers, you prepare for them. You cannot always avoid them, but you can plan your response. This preparation gives you power. When the trigger comes, you are not surprised or defenseless. You are ready, and readiness is strength. Emotional mastery does not mean you never feel chaos. It means chaos does not own you. It means you can walk into stressful situations and remain steady. It means you can face disappointment and still keep moving. It means you can hear criticism without collapsing face, fear without running, and experience pain without giving up. This strength does not appear overnight. It is built through daily practice, daily choices, daily victories over your impulses. When you strengthen emotional control daily, your entire life changes. Your relationships improve because you communicate with calm instead of anger. Your work improves because you can focus. Instead of being distracted by moods, your health improves because stress no longer eats away at your body. Your self-respect improves because you know you are not a prisoner of your emotion. You become someone others can rely on. Someone steady, someone strong. The greatest leaders, the most successful people, and the most fulfilled individuals all share this trait. Every night you will reflect on whether you allowed them to control you or whether you controlled them. This is the daily battle, and the more often you win it, the stronger you become. Eventually you look back and realize you are no longer tossed around by inner storms. You are steady, you are focused, you are in charge. They are not free of emotion, but they are free of being controlled by it. They act from principle, not impulse. They choose response over reaction. They rise above chaos instead of being consumed by it. This strength is available to anyone willing to practice daily. Every morning you will face emotions, some light, some heavy. Emotional chaos will always exist in the world, but it does not have to exist inside you. By strengthening emotional control daily, you rise above it. You create inner peace. In the middle of external noise, you create clarity in the middle of confusion. You create strength in the middle of weakness. And when you live this way, no challenge can break you. No setback can define you, and no fear can stop you. That is the life built by daily discipline of the mind and heart. That is the life available when you rise above inner chaos. Chapter 7. Train unstoppable focus daily and cut distractions completely out. Focus is the weapon that separates achievement from wasted potential. Every day, countless people start with goals, dreams, and plans, but most never complete them. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack talent, but because they cannot hold their attention long enough to follow through. Distractions rob them of momentum, split their energy, and scatter their progress into pieces that never add up to anything meaningful. Notifications constantly compete for your attention. Social media feeds are endless. Entertainment is available at the tap of a finger. The average person's day is not built around priorities. It is built around interruptions. That is why you cannot hope to simply stay focused without training. You must deliberately create habits and systems that protect your attention. If you want to live a life of discipline and growth, you must train your focus daily. You must cut distractions completely out. Focus is not something you are born with. It is a skill you build. The stronger you build it, the more unstoppable you become. The modern world is designed to destroy focus. Otherwise, you will live in reaction mode, jumping from one distraction to the next, and wondering why nothing ever gets finished. Training focus begins with clarity. You cannot concentrate if you don't know what you are concentrating on. Vague goals lead to scattered attention each day. You need to identify what truly matters. The next step is creating an environment that supports focus. If your surroundings are filled with distractions, your willpower will be tested constantly and eventually it will fail. You must cut off temptation at the source. Turn off notifications. Remove unnecessary apps from your phone. Keep your workspace clean. What is the single most important task that, if completed, will move your life forward? Write it down. Commit to it. Make it the centerpiece of your day. When your brain knows what deserves attention, it is easier to resist distractions. Without clarity, everything seems equally urgent, and you fall into the trap of busyness instead of progress. Keep only what you need in front of you. Tell the people around you when you need uninterrupted time. Build an environment where focus is natural and distraction is difficult. This single change can multiply your productivity more than sheer effort ever could. Daily training of focus also requires practicing deep work. Even walking in nature regulates your body's stress response. These practices train your body to remain calm under pressure. When your body is calm, your mind finds it easier to stay in control. By making these practices daily habits, you build resilience against emotional chaos before it even starts. Another principle is acceptance. Many people suffer because they fight against emotions instead of accepting. They tell themselves they should not feel angry, should not feel sad, should not feel afraid. But resisting emotions makes them stronger. Acceptance means allowing yourself to feel without judgment, then choosing how to respond. It means saying, "I feel angry, and that is okay. Now what will I do with it?" Acceptance creates peace. It reduces inner chaos by removing the second layer of struggle, the struggle against your own feelings. Daily strengthening of emotional control also requires honesty about your trigger. Everyone has specific situations that spark intense reactions. Maybe it's criticism, rejection, unfairness, or lack of control. By identifying your triggers, you prepare for them. You cannot always avoid them, but you can plan your response. This preparation gives you power. When the trigger comes, you are not surprised or defenseless. You are ready, and readiness is strength. Emotional mastery does not mean you never feel chaos. It means chaos does not own you. It means you can walk into stressful situations and remain steady. It means you can face disappointment and still keep moving. It means you can hear criticism without collapsing face, fear without running, and experience pain without giving up. This strength does not appear overnight. It is built through daily practice, daily choices, daily victories over your impulses. When you strengthen emotional control daily, your entire life changes. Your relationships improve because you communicate with calm instead of anger. Your work improves because you can focus instead of being distracted by moods. Your health improves because stress no longer eats away at your body. Your self-respect improves because you know you are not a prisoner of your emotion. You become someone others can rely on. Someone steady, someone strong. The greatest leaders, the most successful people, and the most fulfilled individuals all share this trait. They are not free of emotion, but they are free of being controlled by it. They act from principle, not impulse. They choose response over reaction. They rise above chaos instead of being consumed by it. This strength is available to anyone willing to practice daily. Every morning you will face emotions, some light, some heavy. Every night you will reflect on whether you allowed them to control you or whether you controlled them. This is the daily battle, and the more often you win it, the stronger you become. Eventually you look back and realize you are no longer tossed around by inner storms. You are steady, you are focused, you are in charge. Emotional chaos will always exist in the world, but it does not have to exist inside you. By strengthening emotional control daily, you rise above it, you create inner peace. In the middle of external noise, you create clarity in the middle of confusion. You create strength in the middle of weakness. And when you live this way, no challenge can break you. No setback can define you, and no fear can stop you. That is the life built by daily discipline of the mind and heart. That is the life available when you rise above in a kayak. Chapter 7. Train unstoppable focus daily and cut distractions completely out. Focus is the weapon that separates achievement from wasted potential. Every day, countless people start with goals, dreams, and plans, but most never complete them. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack talent, but because they cannot hold their attention long enough to follow through. Distractions rob them of momentum, split their energy, and scatter their progress into pieces that never add up to anything meaningful. If you want to live a life of discipline and growth, you must train your focus daily. You must cut distractions completely out. Focus is not something you are born with. It is a skill you build. The stronger you build it, the more unstoppable you become. The modern world is designed to destroy focus. Notifications constantly compete for your attention. Social media feeds are endless. Entertainment is available at the tap of a finger. The average person's day is not built around priorities. It is built around interruptions. That is why you cannot hope to simply stay focused without training. You must deliberately create habits and systems that protect your attention. Otherwise, you will live in reaction mode, jumping from one distraction to the next, and wondering why nothing ever gets finished. Training focus begins with clarity. You cannot concentrate if you don't know what you are concentrating on. Vague goals lead to scattered attention each day. You need to identify what truly matters. What is the single most important task that, if completed, will move your life forward? Write it down, commit to it, make it the centerpiece of your day. When your brain knows what deserves attention, it is easier to resist distractions. Without clarity, everything seems equally urgent, and you fall into the trap of busyness instead of progress. The next step is creating an environment that supports focus. If your surroundings are filled with distractions, your willpower will be tested constantly, and eventually it will fail. You must cut off temptation at the source. Turn off notifications. Remove unnecessary apps from your phone. Keep your workspace clean. Keep only what you need in front of you. Tell the people around you when you need uninterrupted time. Build an environment where focus is natural and distraction is difficult. This single change can multiply your productivity more than sheer effort ever could. Daily training of focus also requires practicing deep work. Deep work means immersing yourself fully in one task without switching. Research shows that every time you shift attention, it takes minutes to return to the same level of concentration. Multitasking feels productive, but it is actually a trap. It divides your energy into fragments to train, focus, practice, single tasking. Start with short blocks of uninterrupted time, maybe 30 minutes, then gradually extend them. During that time, eliminate all other inputs. The more you practice this, the more your brain learns how to sustain concentration. Over time, you will be able to focus for hours when others can barely focus for minutes. Distractions are not only external, many come from within. Your own thoughts can pull you away from your work. Worry, boredom, impatience. These mental habits break focus from the inside. To overcome this, you must practice mindfulness. When your mind wanders, notice it and bring it back gently to the task. Do this over and over until your ability to redirect attention becomes stronger, just as muscles grow. With repetition, focus grows with practice. The more you bring your mind back, the less it strays. Another principle of focus is energy management. Concentration requires energy, and if your body is tired or depleted, focus becomes impossible. Sleep well, eat nutritious food, and stay hydrated. Movement throughout the day also sharpens focus by increasing circulation and oxygen to the brain. Treat your body as a partner in focus, not an obstacle. A tired mind cannot concentrate no matter how strong your intentions are. A well-cared-for mind can focus deeply, even under pressure. Distractions often win because they provide quick rewards. Checking your phone gives you instant stimulation. Watching a video gives you instant entertainment, but focus requires delayed gratification. To train yourself, you must learn to resist the pull of immediate pleasure for the sake of long-term achievement. This is not about denying joy. It is about choosing joy that lasts over amusement that vanishes. When you practice resisting distractions daily, you build the discipline to pursue bigger goals without being constantly derailed by minor temptations. Focus also grows when you set boundaries with your time. If your day is open to everyone else's demands, your focus will always be stolen. You must claim specific hours for your highest work and protect them as if they are sacred. No calls, no messages, no interruptions during this time. This is your time for growth. Even 1 or 2 hours of deep focus each day can change the entire trajectory of your life, but those hours must be defended with commitment. Accountability can strengthen focus as well. If you share your goals with someone you respect, you will feel pressure to follow through. Knowing someone is watching your progress keeps you from giving in to distraction. Surround yourself with people who value focus, who work with discipline, who will remind you to stay on track. Focus is contagious in the right environment. Just as distraction is contagious in the wrong one, choose your circle wisely. Another way to build focus is through small wins. Start with simple tasks and complete them fully without distraction. Finishing builds momentum. Your brain loves completion, and each win reinforces the habit of staying with one thing until it is done. From small tasks, you move to larger ones. Step by step, you build the identity of someone who finishes what they start. That identity strengthens your belief in your own focus. Focus requires emotional control too. Frustration, impatience, and boredom are emotions that tempt you to quit early. If you learn to sit with them and keep working, you strengthen not only your focus, but also your resilience. Remind yourself that these emotions are temporary. They pass, but the results of your focus remain. The ability to keep going when emotions try to pull you away is what separates those who succeed from those who fall short. The greatest reward of focus is mastery. When you train your attention daily and cut out distractions, you accumulate hours of deep, meaningful practice. Those hours add up to skills, to knowledge, to progress that others cannot match. While most people are scattered, you are concentrated. While most chase everything, you chase the essential. Over months and years, the gap between you and them becomes enormous. Not because you worked more hours, but because you worked with more focus. Cutting distractions completely out may feel extreme, but growth requires extremes. If you want to stand out, you cannot live like everyone else. Everyone else checks their phone. Everyone else drifts into entertainment when they should be building. Everyone else multitasks until their attention is worthless. If you want unstoppable focus, you must live differently. You must choose discipline over distraction, clarity over clutter, deep work over shallow busyness. Imagine what your life could look like if you train your focus every single day. Imagine the goals you could achieve if you gave them hours of undivided attention. Imagine the skills you could master, the projects you could complete, the confidence you could build. All of this is possible, but only if you cut out the distractions that steal your time and train your brain to stay locked on what matters most. Focus is freedom. It is the ability to direct your life instead of being pulled in every direction. It is the power to finish, to create, to achieve. It is the discipline to say no to what does not matter, so you can say yes to what does. It is the daily practice of choosing depth over shallowness, progress over entertainment, growth over ease. Train it daily, protect it fiercely, build it consistently, because when you have unstoppable focus, no goal is too far, no dream too big, and no limit too strong to hold you back. Chapter 8. Overcome setbacks daily and turn obstacles into stepping stones. Setbacks are not signs that you are failing. They are proof that you are in the process of growing. Every person who has ever achieved something worthwhile has been knocked down, delayed, or challenged in ways they did not expect. The difference between those who rise and those who quit is not luck, not talent, and not resources. The difference is the decision to face setbacks daily, learn from them, and use them as fuel instead of defeat. If you can make this your daily practice, every obstacle you encounter becomes a stepping stone that carries you higher instead of a weight that holds you down. Life does not unfold in straight lines. Plans go wrong. People disappoint you. Opportunities disappear. Circumstances change without warning. In those moments, your emotions can easily take over. You feel frustration, anger, sadness, or discouragement. Those feelings are natural, but they must not decide your future. When you see a setback, you have two choices. You can let it convince you to stop, or you can treat it as feedback, a teacher, a reminder that progress is not about perfection, but about persistence. This is why setbacks are powerful. They give you the chance to build resilience, something no success can teach you. One of the biggest mistakes people make is treating setbacks as permanent. They say, "This failure proves I'm not good enough." But a setback is temporary by nature. It is a single event, not your entire story. It only becomes permanent if you choose to stop every day. You must remind yourself that the failure of one attempt does not define your ability to succeed on the next. Your job is to keep moving, keep trying, keep adjusting until the setback loses its power. Overcoming setbacks begins with perspective. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What can I learn here?" This single shift changes everything. A setback is no longer punishment. It becomes instruction. You start to see patterns, mistakes, and lessons that you can use next time. You begin to realize that growth often hides inside struggle. People who never face challenges remain weak. People who endure setbacks become strong. This mindset allows you to transform every obstacle into something useful, something that builds your character and sharpens your skill. Each day you encounter small setbacks. A project doesn't go as planned. Someone criticizes your work. You fall short of your daily goals. These moments may feel insignificant, but they are opportunities to practice resilience. Instead of ignoring them or overreacting, treat them as training. Ask yourself, how can I recover quickly from this? The faster you rebound, the more momentum you build. By overcoming small setbacks daily, you prepare yourself for the larger ones. Just as muscles grow from repeated strain, your resilience grows from repeated recovery. When you hit a setback, one of the most important things to do is control your response. Many people react with negativity, blame, or avoidance. They look for someone to fault or a reason to quit. But control means taking responsibility. Even if the setback wasn't your fault, you can choose how to respond. Responsibility is power. It shifts your focus from what you cannot change to what you can do right now. Each time you take responsibility for your reaction, You turn the setback into a stepping stone. Another key to overcoming setbacks is adaptation. The plan you created at the start may no longer work. Obstacles force you to adjust. The most successful people are not those who never face setbacks, but those who adapt quickly when setbacks appear daily. Adaptation keeps you flexible. If one strategy fails, you try another. If one door closes, you search for another. If one skill proves inadequate, you build a new one. This willingness to adapt turns obstacles into opportunities. It ensures that setbacks are not the end of your journey, but part of your evolution. Setbacks also test patience. In a world that craves instant results, setbacks slow you down. They remind you that growth takes time. Impatience turns small setbacks into unbearable burdens, but patience transforms them into manageable challenges. When you commit to the long game, setbacks lose their sting. You see them as pauses, not ending. You treat them as part of the process, not interruptions. With patience, you can keep moving forward one step at a time, even when progress feels painfully slow. Another powerful tool in overcoming setbacks is gratitude. At first, it may seem impossible to be grateful for something that hurt, but gratitude shifts your perspective. It helps you see the hidden benefit inside the struggle. Maybe the setback forced you to slow down and think more clearly. Maybe it revealed a weakness you needed to fix. Maybe it redirected you toward a better opportunity. Gratitude doesn't erase the pain, but it prevents bitterness. It gives you the strength to keep going without resentment. Community also matters. Facing setbacks alone is harder than facing them. Surround yourself with people who lift you, who remind you of your strength when you forget it, who hold you accountable when you feel like quitting. Their encouragement can turn despair into hope. But choose wisely. Be with those who push you toward growth, not those who encourage you to stay down. Every day, the voices around you either weaken you or strengthen you. Make sure they strengthen you. The daily practice of overcoming setbacks also builds humility. Setbacks remind you that you don't know everything, that you still have room to grow. They strip away arrogance and replace it with wisdom. When you accept this humility, you become teachable. You stop seeing setbacks as enemies and start seeing them as guides. You stop asking, "How can I avoid all setbacks?" and start asking, "How can I use every setback to grow?" This humility combined with persistence makes you unstoppable. Your self-talk is critical in these moments. When you face setbacks, your mind often wants to say, "This is the end. I can't handle this. I'm done." If you allow those words to repeat, you weaken yourself. Instead, choose words that strengthen you. "This is hard, but I can learn. This is painful, but I will grow. This is temporary, and I will." Write the words you speak to yourself. Decide whether you stay down or stand back up. Train your mind daily to speak strength into setbacks. And soon your default response will be resilience. Every setback carries with it the possibility of break. Some of the greatest inventions, achievements and personal victories in history were born from failure. People tried, failed, learned, and tried again until the breakthrough came. The setback was not the end. It was the path. The same is true for you. If you face each obstacle daily with courage and persistence, your setbacks will eventually lead to your greatest growth. What truly matters is consistency. Anyone can overcome one set, but the real power comes from overcoming them daily, building the habit of recovery, the rhythm of resilience. Over time, this habit transforms you. You stop fearing obstacles. You stop being shocked by failure. You begin to expect challenges and prepare for the day. This is the mindset of a resilient person. Not, "I hope nothing goes wrong," but when it does, I will rise. Imagine living with this strength every day. Imagine being the kind of person who is never crushed by setbacks, who always finds a way forward, who uses obstacles as fuel instead of excuses. That kind of strength is not given. It is earned through daily practice. Every setback you face is another chance to build it. Every obstacle you encounter is another stone you can step on to climb higher. The truth is, setbacks will never stop coming. Life will always present obstacles, but if you train yourself to overcome them daily, they lose their power to break you. They become part of your growth instead of barriers to it. And when you live this way, nothing can hold you back. No obstacle, no failure, no setback can stop someone who has decided to rise every single day. So rise, face your setbacks, learn from them, adapt through them, grow because of that. Turn every obstacle into a stepping stone, and with each step, climb higher than you ever thought possible. Chapter 9. Stretch personal standards daily and demand more from yourself. The standards you set for yourself decide the quality of your life. They determine how hard you work, how much you grow, how you treat your health, how you handle relationships, and how much you are willing to demand of yourself when no one else is watching. Most people set their standards at the level of comfort. They do enough to get by, enough to avoid criticism, enough to feel safe. But those who truly transform their lives raise their standards daily. They decide that average is not enough. They decide that effort must stretch further, discipline must sharpen, and expectations for themselves must rise higher. Stretching your standards every single day is how you break free from limits that once seemed unshakable. Personal standards are not about comparing yourself to others. They are about competing with the person you were yesterday. Too often people waste time measuring themselves against friends, colleagues, or strangers online. That comparison distracts them from the real battle, the battle within. Your standards are personal. They are promises you make to yourself. When you decide to demand more, you are not saying, "I must be better than them." You are saying, "I must be better than I was before." That mindset keeps you grounded, disciplined, and focused on true growth. Stretching standards means raising expectations in small, consistent ways. If you usually wake up late, raising your standard may mean starting your day earlier to gain control of your time. If you normally give half effort in your work, raising your standard may mean showing up with full commitment, even when no one is watching. If you settle for excuses in your fitness, raising your standard may mean refusing to skip training regardless of your mood. Each small elevation compounds over time. It builds a stronger version of yourself, one that does not settle for mediocrity, but demands excellence. Demanding more from yourself requires honesty. You must be willing to see where you have been coasting. You must acknowledge the areas where you have accepted less than your best. This honesty is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. If you lie to yourself, if you pretend you are doing enough when you are not, your growth will remain stuck. True progress begins the moment you say, "I could do more, I could expect more, I could live at a higher level." That declaration is the seed of transformation. It is easy to keep standards low because low standards are convenient. They don't require discomfort. They don't challenge your habits. But low standards carry a hidden cost, regret at the end of each day. You know if you lived up to your potential. You know if you gave full effort. Or if you settled, regret is heavy. It builds quietly over time, turning into frustration with yourself and your life. High standards remove that regret. Even if you fall short of a goal, you can take pride in knowing you gave your best. Pride in effort is one of the greatest rewards of stretching your standards daily. Demanding more does not mean perfection. It means progress. Too many people confuse high standards with an impossible quest for flawlessness. That mindset leads to burnout. Progress means you demand more today than yesterday, more this week than last week. It means you hold yourself accountable to growing steadily, not instantly. Progress compound 1% improvements daily turn into massive transformation over time. By raising your standards, gradually you create sustainable growth without crushing yourself with unrealistic expectations. One of the most important areas to stretch your standards is discipline. Discipline is the bridge between standards and results. Without discipline, standards are just words. Discipline means you follow through even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one is checking. Each day, you push yourself to act with discipline. You raise your baseline. Tasks that once felt impossible become normal. Effort that once felt exhausting becomes your standard operating level. This is how you train yourself to live at higher levels of excellence. Your standards also shape how others treat you. People respond to what you accept. If your standards are low, you will tolerate poor treatment, weak relationships, and toxic environments. But when your standards are high, you refuse to allow negativity to stay in your life. You choose better company, better environments, and better opportunities because you demand more from yourself first. The world often mirrors what you project. By raising your standards daily, you attract people and experiences that match your elevated level. Stretching standards requires courage because it demands you leave behind what feels safe. Growth always asks for more effort, more focus, more responsibility. Some days you will want to settle, to go back to the easy path. But courage means saying no to that comfort. Courage means saying, I expect more from myself today, even if it feels uncomfortable, even if it stretches me thin. The reward for that courage is strength. Each act of courage builds confidence, and that confidence fuels the next leap forward. Another powerful effect of raising your standards is self-respect. When you know you held yourself to a higher level, when you know you refuse to settle, you build trust with yourself. That trust is priceless. It means you no longer doubt your ability to follow through. You no longer question whether you are capable of discipline. You know because you've proven it to yourself through consistent action. Self-respect is not given by others. It is earned by keeping your own promises daily. Raising your standards also reshapes your identity. Your identity is not fixed. It grows from the actions you repeat. If your daily standard is low effort, you begin to see yourself as someone who is inconsistent, who doesn't finish, who accepts less. But if your daily standard is high effort, discipline, and commitment, your identity shift. You begin to see yourself as someone reliable, someone strong, someone who can be counted on. That identity fuels future growth because you act in line with how you see yourself. By stretching standards daily, you create a new identity that demands excellence naturally. It's important to recognize that standards do not rise by accident. They rise by decision. You must consciously decide that you will demand more, waiting for circumstances to force you higher rarely works. Circumstances tend to drag you down, not lift you up. The decision to stretch your standards must come from within. It must be a choice you make each morning. I will not settle today. I will expect more from myself. I will push further than I did before. Over time, this decision becomes a habit, and that habit becomes your character. Raising standards daily also prepares you for bigger challenges. If you demand more, only occasionally, you will not be ready when major tests come. But if you demand more, every day, even in small ways, you build the strength needed for larger battle. Life rarely announces its challenges in advance. You must be prepared at all times. Daily stretching ensures that when life demands more, you are ready because you have been demanding more from yourself all along. There is also joy in raising your standard. Many people think high standards mean a joyless life of constant struggle. In reality, joy comes from growth. Nothing feels more fulfilling than seeing yourself improve, knowing you pushed beyond what was once impossible, recognizing that you are stronger, wiser, and more disciplined than before. Growth creates happiness because it aligns with the deepest human need. The need to expand. Joy lives not in comfort, but in progress. By raising your standards daily, you create progress, and with it joy. Stretching standards can apply to every area of life. In your work, it means giving more detail, more quality, more consistency. In your health, it means treating your body with respect and refusing excuses. In your relationships, it means showing up with integrity, honesty, and present in your personal growth. It means never coasting, but always reading, learning, and sharpening your mind. When you raise your standards across all areas, your entire life rises with them. The danger of low standards is that they create an invisible ceiling. You may not notice it at first, but low standards trap you. You stop challenging yourself. You stop improving. You stop demanding more. That ceiling keeps you small, but the moment you stretch your standards, the ceiling lifts. Suddenly possibilities expand. Suddenly opportunity is a peak. Suddenly your potential begins to show. Raising your standards daily is how you keep lifting that ceiling until there are no limits left. Think about the person you want to become. That person is not created by one big leap. That person is built by the daily decision to stretch, to demand more, to refuse to settle. Each day, you raise your standards. You take a step closer to that person. Each day, you refuse excuses. You build the life you want. The process is not glamorous, but it is powerful. One day you look back and realize the gap between who you were and who you are is enormous. All because you demanded more each day. The truth is, no one can set your standards for you. Others may challenge you, inspire you, or guide you, but the decision is yours. You must decide what you will tolerate and what you will demand. You must decide how high you will aim and how hard you will push. You must decide whether you will live as you are or stretch into who you could be. This decision made daily shapes your entire destiny. Stretching your personal standards daily and demanding more from yourself is not about perfection or comparison. It is about refusing to waste your potential. It is about honoring the abilities you have been given by using them fully. It is about waking up each day with the commitment to grow, to strengthen, to rise. That commitment will change you. It'll lift your life to levels you once thought impossible. It'll turn you into someone you can admire, respect, and trust. And when you live with that strength, you inspire others to raise their standards too. This is the path of growth. This is the path of greatness, and it is available to you. The moment you decide that what was acceptable yesterday will no longer be acceptable today. Demand more, stretch further, hold yourself higher, do it daily, and watch as your life transforms beyond anything you once imagined. Chapter 10. Prove limits wrong daily and create a life without ceilings. Limits are not walls built around you. They are lines drawn in your mind that convince you this is as far as you can go. This is as much as you can have. This is all you can become. Those lines feel real because they are reinforced by years of doubt, criticism, comparison, fear. But every day you have the chance to prove those limits wrong. Every day you have the chance to show yourself that the ceiling you thought was there does not exist. A life without ceilings is not given. It is created by consistently testing boundaries, refusing excuses, and stepping into challenges that once felt impossible. The greatest tragedy is not that people fail, but that they never try to go beyond the limits they accept. They live inside invisible cages, never questioning whether they are real. They say, "I can't do that. I wasn't born for that. I'm not good enough for that." And yet, when you look at history, every achievement was made by someone who ignored those same thoughts. Every breakthrough came from someone who decided the so-called limit was nothing more than an idea. That is why the most important daily practice is to challenge those ideas. Limits dissolve when you prove them wrong with action. Proving limits wrong daily does not mean chasing the extreme every moment. It means pushing just a little further than you did yesterday. If you think you can only run 2 miles, push for 2.5. If you believe you can only study for an hour, go for 90 minutes. If you feel too afraid to share your opinion, speak once today. These are not dramatic leaps, but they chip away at the false ceilings in your mind. Each small act of defiance against limitation builds evidence. Evidence creates belief, and belief changes everything. The problem with limits is that they often come disguised as truth. They sound reasonable. You are too old to start over. You are too inexperienced to lead. You don't have the resources. These statements are not facts. They are assumptions, and assumptions only stay alive if you never test them. The moment you act in spite of them, you often discover they were lies. Age does not matter as much as discipline. Inexperience disappears when you learn. Lack of resources forces you to be created. Every limit that feels permanent can be broken when you face it daily with persistence and courage. To create a life without ceilings, you must train yourself to see beyond what is comfortable. Comfort is where limits grow strong. Growth is where they crumble. Every time you choose comfort, you reinforce the idea that your limits are unbreakable. Every time you choose growth, you weaken them. The challenge is that growth is uncomfortable by nature. It asks you to stretch, to risk failure, to feel exposed, but the discomfort is temporary. The pride of proving yourself stronger than you thought lasts forever. You must also be careful about the voices you allow into your life. Many people will try to convince you that limits are real. Some do it because they believe it themselves. Others, because your growth threatens them. If you accept their words, their limits become your own. Protect your mind. Surround yourself with those who push you higher, who encourage you to try again, who remind you that nothing is fixed. The right environment fuels your belief that ceilings do not exist. The wrong environment cements the illusion that they do. Proving limits wrong daily is not only about achievement, it is about identity. When you consistently act beyond your old boundaries, you change the way you see, or you stop identifying as someone weak, someone stuck, someone ordinary. You begin to see yourself as someone strong, someone capable, someone growing. This identity shift is powerful because once you see yourself as someone who breaks limits, your actions align automatically. You no longer hesitate as much because you believe in your ability to handle more. Failure is part of this process. In fact, failure is evidence that you are stretching beyond limits. If you never fail, it means you are staying within the boundaries you already know. Failure is not proof of weakness. It is proof of courage. Every time you fail and get back up, you push the ceiling higher. Eventually, failure no longer scares you because you realize it is not the end. It is simply feedback, a lesson, a step that understanding makes you unstoppable. One of the greatest ways to destroy limits is to measure progress, not perfection. Too many people give up because they expect instant breakthroughs. When they don't see dramatic results, they assume the limit is real. But progress is often subtle. Muscles strengthen slowly. Skills improve gradually. Confidence builds step by step. If you track progress daily, you see that the ceiling is rising, even if only by an inch. That knowledge keeps you motivated. It shows you that every small victory is proof that you are not trapped by limits, but actively breaking the discipline is the foundation of a life without ceilings. Talent will carry you some distance, but only discipline carries you past limits. Discipline means showing up every day to test your boundaries, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline means holding yourself accountable to growth, even when no one else notices. Discipline means proving to yourself through action that excuses do not define you. Every act of discipline chips away at the ceiling, until one day it is gone entirely. Energy also matter. To prove limits wrong, you must fuel your body and mind properly. A tired body convinces you that limits are real. A neglected mind convinces you that growth is impossible. But when you take care of your health, when you feed your mind with positive input, when you rest and recover properly, your capacity expands. What once felt like a hard limit becomes routine. The stronger you become physically and mentally, the fewer limits can survive in your life. There is also the principle of vision. If you only see what you currently are, you will never move beyond it. Vision means picturing what you could become and holding that image daily. That image pulls you forward, past the limits of today. Vision is not fantasy. It is a guide. It reminds you that your current reality is not your final reality. By focusing daily on your vision, you stay motivated to prove limits wrong. You remind yourself that you are working toward a life without ceilings. Each day you face choices. Choices to stay where you are or to push further, choices to listen to fear or to move through it, choices to accept excuses or to demand action. These choices determine whether your limits remain or fall. A single choice may not feel like much, but repeated daily, it shapes your destiny. If you choose to prove limits wrong consistently, you build momentum that cannot be stopped. Imagine the life waiting for, if you adopt this practice, a life where you are not held back by doubt, fear, or excuses, a life where you wake up knowing you will push further today than yesterday, a life where you look back years from now and see a trail of broken limits behind you. That life is possible. It begins with the decision to act today, and then tomorrow, and then the next day. Limits will whisper to you that you are not capable. They will tell you to stop. They will say, "This is enough." But you do not have to believe them. You can prove them wrong. You can test them, challenge them, and break them. And when you do it daily, they eventually disappear. You realize there was never a ceiling above you at all, only the one you created in your mind. The life without ceilings is a life of freedom, of growth, of endless expansion. It is a life where every day is an opportunity to become more, do more, and give more. That life is not reserved for the special few. It is available to anyone willing to confront their limits and refuse to settle. The question is not whether you have limits. Everyone does. The question is whether you will accept them or prove them wrong. Prove them wrong every single day. Push a little further. Stretch a little higher. Refuse to accept ceilings. Refuse to accept wall. Live with discipline, vision, and courage, and in doing so, create a life that knows no limits. A life without ceilings, a life that inspires not only you, but everyone who sees what is possible when someone decides to rise.